hours as we continue to deal with the rain and the storms. This blinking turquoise box that you see is for an emergency flash flood warning. The burgundy boxes, those are flash flood warnings. This is an emergency flash flood warning, meaning that flooding is occurring. And the National Weather Service has already said that there have been multiple water rescues. So if you do come across a road and the water looks like it's flooded, be on the safe side, turn around. When it's dark outside, it's hard to gauge just how deep the water is. So you really want to make sure that you are turning around, especially when we have flash floods. The water is quick moving, and that's enough to move your car. So you want to make sure that you're driving safely. The National Weather Service also saying that there have already been 2.5 to 4.5 inches of rain, and we could see more rain up to an inch possible in this warned area. So that's the blinking turquoise box. And if we take a quick look at some of the accumulation that we've been seeing, I'm going to put this over the past 3 hours. Some spots with some very heavy rain in the city of Baltimore. So where we have that pinkish purple color, possibly 4.2 inches of rain. And this is radar indicated. As we get a little closer to downtown, 2.8 inches of rain, 3.7 in some spots. So notice those totals between that 2.5 to 4.5 inches that the National Weather Service is also indicating. So that's enough water to flood some low-lying areas and those flood-prone areas. So we're also talking about this tornado warning that is in place for parts of Baltimore County and Harford County. This runs through 12:30 this morning. We will be here with you through the entire warning, so we have about 14 more minutes. Just taking a look at some of the timing and when some areas can expect that heavy rain, gusty winds, hail, and the potential for that rotation. Pleasant Hills around 12:21, Joppatown 12:21 as well, and then for Bel Air, looking at the worst of it around 12:30 this morning. After that, Riverside 12:34, 12:38 for Perryman, Aberdeen at 12:44 this morning, and Aberdeen Proving Ground 12:46. So the areas in the blinking red box are the ones under that tornado warning. The blinking orange box that you see is for a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, parts of Harford County and Baltimore County. And then we have another severe thunderstorm warning for a few counties along the eastern shore. We're looking at Kent, along with Queen Anne's, Carolyn, and even part of Talbot counties under that severe thunderstorm warning. We're talking the chance of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, the threat of quarter-inch hail. Make sure that you are staying weather alert, even if you're not one of the places under this tornado warning, because we have that threat for hail, gusty winds, and even flooding from this heavy rain. So again, taking a look at where we have that tornado warning, you can see the storm right around Joppatown. Let's see if we can pick up anything with some rotation. Typically, we look for red and green coupling together. So right now, taking a look at that base velocity, you can see a little bit of that red and that green together. Again, the blinking red box is for that tornado warning. So here we go, highlighting that area again. This is for parts of Baltimore and Harford counties. This runs through 12:30. We've got about 12 more minutes left on this tornado warning, and hopefully that storm will break apart as it continues to move to the northeast. Right now, it's moving to the east-northeast around 29 miles per hour, but we're seeing some other areas with heavy rain, not necessarily that rotation. And again, the rotation that we're talking about is radar indicated. The blinking turquoise box, an emergency flash flood warning. This runs through 3:15 in the morning, and it's for Baltimore City. We've already had some reports of 2.5 to 4.5 inches of rain, enough to lead to a little bit of flooding. You'll notice around the city of Baltimore, the rain is starting to be on the lighter side, closer to Anthonyville, seeing some moderate, even heavy rain there, but it is quickly pushing out. Even still, it's going to take a couple hours until we start to see that water recede. So if you come to flooded waters, make sure that you turn around, especially if you'll be driving anywhere over the next few hours. And just to see if we have any updates from the National Weather Service, there have been some flash flood reports in Parkville, couple reports and couple calls coming in from flash flooding. So this has been impacting many vehicles, some along Ridgewood Road, Loch Raven Boulevard, and Joan Avenue, occupied vehicles in flood waters. And we're also seeing that Oakley Road and Redwood Avenue. So if you do drive, there's the threat of getting stuck in the flooded waters, and that's what you don't want to happen. So we like to emphasize turn around, don't drown, as we deal with that flash flood emergency. Now, we're still keeping track of this tornado warning. You'll notice we see some areas, reds, pinks, indicating that heavy rain and possibly some rotation with that. So let's see if we can find another model kind of showing what we're seeing. So this is one of our in-house products, our Barron button. That purple indicates the potential for some hail, and so that's what we're seeing where we have this tornado warned area. It runs through 12:30 this morning, going back to the reflectivity where you can see that heavy rain. We're talking impacts possibly to Pleasant Hills around 12:25 this morning, 12:25 for Joppatown, Bel Air 12:34 this morning, 12:38, and it looks like that just changed. So now for Bel Air, 12:25 a.m. when we could be dealing with some rotation, seeing some hail, gusty winds, and even the threat of heavy rain. And for Darlington, that time around 12:47. We're keeping close watch on this area in the blinking red box. This is for a tornado warning. We've got about 9 more minutes. You can see the heavy rain continuing to push toward the east-northeast and to the north-northeast. This area moving northeasterly around 29 miles per hour. Radar is indicating half-inch hail possible within this line of storms. So we're also keeping watch on a few other areas. This severe thunderstorm warning also goes through 12:30 a.m. and it includes parts of Harford counties along with Baltimore County. Notice with these storms, we're talking Edgewood 12:47, dealing with that heavy rain and possibly gusty winds greater than 60 miles per hour. And then we have another area under a severe thunderstorm warning, and that's for part of the Eastern Shore. Kent County, along with Queen Anne's County, Caroline County, even Talbot County getting ready for that heavy rain. And you can see it's quickly moving over the Eastern Shore. Just to give you the timing on when some areas could be dealing with those storms, this one here looks like that is moving to the northeast around 24 miles per hour. So you want to make sure that you are staying safe and finding that safe place. Even though we're not seeing rotation in this area, you still want to make sure that you are staying safe, especially with the threat for hail and gusty winds and very heavy rain. You can see those reds and those pinks that we're seeing close to Copperville, along with Bennett's Point, Anchorage as well. Looking at that heavy rain, that will continue to move to the northeast. Meanwhile, we're keeping watch on this area close to Joppatown. That's where we're talking about rotation. We have a tornado warning in place. That's for about 8 more minutes, and that is for part of Harford County and also part of Baltimore County. So we are talking Colonial Acres, Bright Oaks, Box Hill North, Pembroke, Creswell, Bush, Abingdon, Clearview, Johnson Manor. You are all under this tornado warning. You want to make sure that you are heading to your safe place. We also have a flash flood warning in place, so there is the threat for some heavy rain, which could lead to flooding, especially in flood-prone and low-lying areas. So you want to make sure that you are finding an interior room. Place as many walls as you can between you and the outside. You want to try to find a room with no windows, so that may be a bathroom or a closet, even a laundry room. You want to head to the most interior room in your home that you can find as we write out this tornado warning. This goes through 12:30 this morning, taking a look at some of the locations that could be dealing with the rain and the rotation. Bel Air around 12:28, Darlington around 12:50 this morning. The storm's moving northeast around 29 miles per hour, and we're talking the chance of half-inch hail. And let's see if there are any updates on that tornado warning. So the National Weather Service has said that the circulation has weakened, but they will be watching it closely over the next couple minutes. Now, this tornado warning is going to expire at 12:30, so we'll stay on air as we continue to track this area. Again, you want to make sure that you are staying safe regardless of where you are, even if you're not under this tornado warning. We're seeing several areas with severe thunderstorm warnings in place, and that's the blinking orange box that you see. So parts of Harford County, parts of Baltimore County, and then we've got that in place for Kent, Queen Anne's, Carolyn, and Talbot, all looking at the threat for severe thunderstorm warnings. And just to give you some more updates on what the National Weather Service is seeing in terms of damage, a large tree down at Ebenezer Road and Myers Lane for Middle River. So certainly some gusty winds there, and since we do have a tree down, that could have been a sign of some rotation. Again, with this tornado warning, you're not going to be able to see that rotation. It'll likely be rain wrapped, just as we deal with the very heavy rain across parts of our area. And that's what's led to that flash flood warning for some. So the severe thunderstorm warning is continuing for Harford County and Baltimore County. So they're talking 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and they're talking a severe thunderstorm near Perryman or 9 miles east of Middle River. They're saying it's moving around 30 miles per hour. So just giving you a look at what we're seeing. You can see where Perryman is right now, keeping track of that, and just looking at this area and when we expect to see that heavy rain. Perryman 1227, 1229 for Aberdeen Proving Ground, Aberdeen 1230, Havre de Grace 1235, 1236 for Perryville, Port Deposit 1238 this morning, Charleston, Northeast, Rising Sun, Elkton, Oxford, all in the path of this line of storms. So there is the threat for heavy rain. That's what's led to several flash flood warnings. We even have a flash flood emergency in place, but we are also talking the threat of gusty winds, 60 miles per hour, possibly greater. This is all radar indicated. Hail is another possibility. So that is over the next 30 minutes or so, looking at this line of storms moving into those areas. Still, though, we are keeping track on this tornado warning for parts of Harford and Baltimore counties, just on the tail end of Baltimore County. But you'll notice that the heavy rain is continuing to move to the northeast as we deal with this line of storms. Now, the rotation is weakening. That's in from the National Weather Service. That's a good thing, but we're still going to watch this area if we do have any more potential rotation. Meanwhile, a flash flood warning, an emergency flash flood warning in place for the city of Baltimore. This runs through 3:15 this morning, and that means that flash flooding is occurring. There have been multiple rescues, multiple reports of occupied cars trapped in flooded waters. So even now, even though we are starting to see a lot of the rain taper, and even though it is on the lighter side, flooding is still occurring. You want to make sure that if you do come to flooded waters, that you turn around. Since it's nighttime, it's very hard to gauge just how deep the water is, so it's best to turn around so that you don't become trapped in that flooded waters. We also have a few flash flood watches in place, or a few aerial flood watches in place. So we're talking Cecil along with part of Hartford, and even as we look along the eastern shore, still seeing some areas with the potential for aerial or for some flash flooding as we deal with this heavy rain. Right now, the flash flood warnings are in place for Hartford, Baltimore County, along with parts of Baltimore City. That emergency, though, is occurring. So that means that we're seeing some areas of heavy rain, severe thunderstorm warnings in place. And it looks like actually we have a second tornado warning, and this is for Talbot. That expires at 1 this morning. So seeing some rotation with that area. As we continue to look, we've had a few storm reports, all from these storms that have been moving across our area. So let's see if we can pull up some of what we're seeing, some of our alerts. So here we have flash flooding for Catonsville, occupied vehicles in floodwater due to that torrential rain. We're also seeing near Lockern, Maryland, vehicles stranded in high water on Wabash Avenue and Northwest Baltimore City, water flowing at least wheel deep on the roads. So this is why we emphasize that you want to turn around if you come to flooded waters, just because if you try to pass, through the waters, your car could become stuck, as we're seeing in some cases. We've got Parkville, Maryland, occupied vehicles again in floodwater due to the torrential rainfall on Ridgewood Road for that area. Also seeing some more flooding. This is Lock Raven Boulevard and Joan Avenue, occupied vehicles in the floodwater. And then this spot here, Oakley Road and Redwood Avenue, more occupied vehicles in floodwater. So make sure that you are staying safe over the next several hours. Again, this tornado warning runs through 12:30. It should be expiring in a minute or so, but we're still continuing to monitor this for some potential rotation. Again, the National Weather Service has said that we're starting to see the rotation weaken. However, there's still that threat for heavy rain, still the threat for gusty winds and even some hail over the next few hours as this system moves to the northeast. So you want to make sure that you are driving safely. Again, we've got a larger area, second area, and this is for part of Talbot and even Queen Anne's counties that runs through 1 a.m. and that is for a second tornado warning. So let's see if we can see any rotation in that area. So here you can see red and green together, and when we see that, it indicates objects moving toward the radar and away from the radar, and that's what indicates that rotation. So we look for where we see that tight red and green together. So potentially seeing some rotation in this area close to, looks like close to Copperville, and that is for parts of the eastern shore. Our second tornado warning, it looks like it has, or first one, looks like it has expired for part of Hartford and Carroll counties. Again, we've got this emergency flash flood warning in place that runs through 3:15 in the morning. However, a flash flood warning also in place for Hartford County and Baltimore County. This red block that expires at 2:45. And then the second area, including parts of Baltimore County, this expires at 2:15 this morning. Even still, we're looking at the threat for some heavy rain, and that could lead to flooding, especially in low-lying and flood-prone areas. Again, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning for part of the eastern shore, and that tornado warning there continues. But for now, we are going to send you back to your regularly scheduled programming. We are not seeing much rotation, but of course we're going to keep you updated. And if we do see that rotation reappear, or if we see some other areas of rotation closer to the Baltimore area, we will provide you with those updates and we will cut in for you, guiding you through the entire storm. So over the next few hours, again, make sure that you are staying safe. Be sure to have multiple ways of receiving any alerts that may be issued. All of our flood alerts expire close to 3:15, so between 2:15 and 3:15, that's when those warnings will expire. Meanwhile, still seeing that heavy rain, and that will continue to move to the northeast. So we're going to send you back to your regularly scheduled programming. And of course, in the morning, we'll have more updates starting at 4:30 on the latest on what we've seen and more rain that you can expect for the day today. What would you say? Okay. What'd you say? Wait, what'd you say? Alrighty, we can go on again. A tornado warning, a second one for the state as we deal with the line of heavy rain and storms. This time it's primarily impacting part of the eastern shore. So we're going to show you the radar and we'll guide you through this until that warning expires. So you can see that blinking red box. That's where we do have the tornado warning in place. So this is for part of Talbot and also part of Queen Anne's counties. This runs through 1 a.m. this morning, and you can see where we're seeing that heaviest of rain. We've got some reds and those pinks really indicating that heavy rain, and I'll show you what we're seeing as far as rotation is concerned. So on the base velocity, not super tight rotation with this system, but still talking about radar indicated rotation. If you do live in an area in the blinking red box, you're likely not going to see the rotation just because it's very hard to see at night. And with the heavy rain that we're seeing, this would be something that is rain wrapped. So taking another look at the reflectivity, you can see where we have that heaviest rain. And just to tell you the timing on where we're seeing it, these storms are moving to the northeast around 17 miles per hour. Another area moving east-northeast around 16 miles per hour. And we could be talking some rotation possibly and some heavy rain toward Ridgely around 1:17 in the morning. So again, this tornado warning expires at 1 a.m. So we've got about another 9 more minutes for this. It includes part of Queen Anne's and also Talbot. So you want to make sure that if you live in this area, you are heading to your safe place. You want to place as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and you want to avoid windows. So if that is an interior room like a laundry room or a bathroom or a closet, that's where you want to go. If you have a basement, that of course is the safest place. Now, in addition to the tornado warning, we've got several severe thunderstorm warnings in place. So even if you're not under this tornado warning, we're seeing a severe thunderstorm warning in place for part of Carolyn and also Talbot, even Queen Anne's and even Kent looking at this severe thunderstorm warning. We also have Cecil looking at the severe thunderstorm warning. For Cecil, it expires at 1:45 this morning, and area south 1 a.m. That's the same time the tornado warning expires. So regardless of where you are, there is the threat for heavy rain. We're talking gusty winds greater than 60 miles per hour and possibly some hail, a quarter size, maybe even a half size possible. And this is all radar indicated. So we're seeing the heaviest of rain from Elkton all the way down into close to the Hillsborough area, Newton, dealing with that heavy rain. And of course, that's where we have that tornado warning. So Ridgely looking at the threat of some heavy rain and possibly even some rotation around 1:18 in the morning. All of these severe thunderstorm warnings and the tornado warnings for parts of the eastern shore expire at 1 a.m. For Cecil, that expires at 1:45. So through that time, the threat of heavy rain. Notice also an aerial flood watch in place. So there is the threat of flooding for low-lying areas. We've seen several reports of flooding. Vehicles have been stranded in those flooded waters around parts of Baltimore City and Baltimore County. In addition to the severe storms, we still have a flash flood warning in place, and this is through 2:45 for Baltimore County. We also have an emergency flash flood warning. That means that flooding is occurring, and there have been reports of cars stranded, stuck in those flooded waters. So if you come to flooded waters, you want to make sure to turn around. It's hard to gauge just how deep the water is at nighttime, and you do not want to become stranded. So that emergency flash flood warning, 3:15 a.m., that's when it expires, and that is for Baltimore City. But in the meantime, several blinking boxes. We've got the orange boxes indicating severe thunderstorm warnings, several of those in place for parts of the eastern shore. And then we have that tornado warning that expires at 1 a.m. That's for Talbot County. So we've got about another 6 more minutes. And of course, we will be here to guide you through the entire thing. And it looks like a part of Talbot and Queen Anne's have allowed this tornado warning to expire. So we're still seeing it in place on our end. This runs through 1 a.m. So until this does expire, we will be here to guide you through not just the rotation that's possible, but also the heavy rain that we're seeing. And just to give you kind of the timing on when you can expect some of that heavy rain and possibly the rotation for part of the eastern shore. The storm's moving east-northeast around 16 miles per hour. The chance for half-inch hail is there, and we're also talking Ridgely looking at the impacts from the system around 1:20 in the morning. We've also got some more areas, Churchill and Sudlersville, 1:07 and 1:20 a.m. dealing with that heavy rain, all a part of that severe thunderstorm warning. And we've got the tornado warning still, though. That expires at 1 a.m. So about 5 more minutes for that. We are seeing a severe thunderstorm warning in place for parts of the eastern shore. We've got this area, this storm system. It's moving east-northeast, a quicker area, 38 miles per hour, half-inch hail possible. And this is for Cecilton, looking at impacts around 1:06, 1:16 for Middletown, Odessa, 1:17 in the morning, and then Brookside, 1:24 in the morning, talking about the threat of some heavy rain, gusty winds, wind gusts greater than 60 miles per hour, and possibly in addition to the heavy rain, possibly some hail, a half-inch size. We are also seeing a severe thunderstorm warning for part of Queen Anne's. That expires at 1:15. And then this other blinking orange box for Kent, Queen Anne's, and also Carolyn and Talbot, that expires at 1 this morning. And that's the same time as the tornado warning. So where we have this blinking red box, that's where the tornado warning is. So it does overlap some of the area under that severe thunderstorm warning. So with this line of storms, there is that potential for some rotation. Right now, we're seeing the heaviest of rain close to Newton, and we've got Fox Meadow and Horseshoe Estates dealing with some of the heaviest rain right now. We're focusing on this blinking red box. That's where we have the tornado warning in place. So you want to make sure that if you live in this region, or even if you live in one of the areas with the blinking orange box, that you're heading to your safe place and avoiding all windows. Now, the safest place to be is a basement. However, we do have the threat of flooding from this heavy rain, especially for areas north, where we do have an aerial flood watch in place. So the most important thing to do is place as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So finding an interior room with no windows, whether that's a closet or a laundry room or a bathroom, you want to make sure that you are heading to your safe place until this warning expires. Again, we've got about 3 more minutes for this. And this is for part of Talbot and Queen Anne's counties. This runs through 1 this morning. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning in place. It has been very active as we've dealt with this line of storms. Even as we head later into the day, we've got the chance for scattered showers. We're not talking severe weather, but still a few showers as we get ready for a cold front to pass over the state. That cold front is what's going to bring us the much anticipated cool down following some hot days. So we've got the storms tonight, and then tomorrow, or actually technically today, the chance for a few scattered showers and storms. It's tomorrow, Thursday, when we return to a dry pattern. So we have this emergency flash flood warning in place. The storms have been leading to some spots of heavy rain. This emergency flash flood warning has been issued because there have been multiple reports of rescues due to people being stuck in cars in flooded water. So that's the blinking turquoise box, and it covers all of Baltimore City. We also have a flash flood warning through 2:45 for part of Baltimore County and another part of the county through 2:15 a.m. for that flash flood warning. Even though we're not seeing much rain around Baltimore and the county, there is still flooding occurring, and it's going to take a few more hours for the water to recede. You want to make sure that if you do come to flooded roads, that you turn around. That's the most important thing, so that your car doesn't become trapped in that moving water. It's very hard to tell just how deep the water is at nighttime. So again, the most important thing to do is to make sure that you're turning around. Meanwhile, we're keeping track of several severe thunderstorm warnings. One for Cecil County. This runs through 1:45. Part of Kent and part of Queen Anne's counties under the severe thunderstorm warning through 1:15 a.m. And then we're seeing part of Kent, Queen Anne's, and also Caroline and Talbot counties under the severe thunderstorm warning through 1 a.m. So should be expiring any minute. And we're still talking about this tornado warning in place for part of Talbot. Tracking that storm, we're talking Ridgely around 117, looking at impacts from this. So that means heavy rain, the potential for rotation, also some gusty winds and hail possible. We could be talking with all of these severe thunderstorm warnings, the potential for hail, heavy rain and gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour. That's enough to cause some damage. And we have been getting those damage reports with this line of storm. So this area moving to the east-northeast around 18 miles per hour. So a little bit slower. We're keeping watch on some other areas right here. Church Hill, Sudlersville, and Galena, looking at the potential for that heavy rain and some storms. This system a lot faster moving north-northeast around 36 miles per hour. This area here northeast around 18 miles per hour. And there we go. Looks like our tornado warning has expired along with those severe thunderstorm warnings. However, a few alerts still in place around our area. We've got an aerial flood watch that expires at 11 a.m. and this goes from Carroll County all the way into Cecil County. However, we have a few warnings, including a flash flood warning. This is for Baltimore County. This particular box expires at 2:15 a.m. and then we have a second flash flood warning that expires at 2:45 this morning. We have an emergency flash flood warning. This runs through 3:15 a.m. and this is where we have been seeing flooding occurring, and we've had reports of water rescues in the city of Baltimore. Meanwhile, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for Cecil. That's through 1:45 a.m. And then we have a second one in place for Queen Anne's through 1:15. So this line of storms quickly moving to the east-northeast, and as that happens, we'll start to see our threats for severe weather diminish, but you still want to make sure that you have multiple ways of receiving any alerts that may be issued, especially with this occurring late at night. And we'll be back on air at 4:30 a.m. Of course, if something is warned, we'll be back earlier than that, but stay tuned for the latest on the weather to expect for the day today and the nice cool down and dry weather that follows. Enjoy the rest of your morning and your day.